What's up, everybody? It's Make It Make Sense. And this time I was not late because I was late. I've been emailing with the celebrity who wants to talk, and it's about the Diddy. My mind is blown this morning. So, like the video as the intro plays, again, this time it was not my fault. I was emailing with the celebrity. So, um, it just keeps getting crazier.
Make it make sense.
Make it make sense.
One, please. When you reach out to me, make it make common sense, please.
Your intro.
Make it make sense.
Big moves.
Surfer.
Make it make sense. Tell me how you squeeze it. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things that you say. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things in your dreams. Hey, let me work out all the things in between. Make it make sense. Tell me how you squeeze it. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things that you say. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things in your dreams. Hey, let me work out all the things in between. Make it make sense.
Do you know how this fire started?
Yes, I do. It was because of my cousin. And I don't want to mention no names.
Your cousin.
Yes.
And you said you think your cousin started this. Do you know how or why?
He's mad because he can't get with me. I'm married to my husband. And
Okay, y'all. Natasha, what I was saying was what's crazy is the celebrity that just hit me up. That's the crazy part, not the Diddy stuff. Unfortunately, I'm not surprised, but we got to use the ledge. So this morning, what popped off is, and if you have been following this, you'll know who this man is. His name is Roger Bonds. I talked about him in the initial lawsuit with Cassie, but he has been kind of piecemealing things, and I want us to kind of think of it in a different way, because people are like, every time he says something, people make a video. I'm thinking something different now. So I want to show you guys what he said, and then I want to talk about motives, because I found out some stuff that I did not know. It's been very clear that his son has been detained in Namibia. Hopefully I'm saying that right. And his goal is to get him out. But I thought that Diddy had never done anything to help. Y'all, we got to talk. So this is what he had to say today in regards to corroborating Cassie's story.
Situation that may seem like a good situation, but if you're not waking up happy, or if you disgruntled, or you really don't want to be around that person, you find every excuse to get out of there. And I got diabetes. So my excuse was, I can't be with you every day. I can't do this. I can't do that. I'm losing weight. I'm doing that. But in reality, it was, I was sick. I was sick of you. I was sick of everything that was going on around you. I was sick of having to cover up everything that you did. I was sick. Cassie spoke on it. She said, yeah, I jumped on it. I jumped in between it. That wasn't the only time. It was other times, and it was other people.
Okay. So, guys, I want to go back to this and look at what he tagged. Two Faces, the documentary, Roger Bonds, My Truth. So my guess is he has been piecemealing this information to garner more attention for his son, and or he's probably going to be selling his story soon. He's already talked to Vlad, but I think because of the situation, he might be trying to tap Diddy on the shoulder and say, I need more help with my son. Think about it, y'all. He didn't come forward. It's alleged that there would be times where he would be, holding Cassie and crying himself. I think this is his way of tapping Diddy on the shoulder. Think about it. But this wasn't the only thing he said.
People ask, it's easy. People say, well, why did you stay? Or why did you allow? Or why did you keep going?
Why do you keep paying your kids' school fees? you just can't walk away. So he's trying to explain himself as to why he stayed doing what he did, helping Diddy out in whatever way is necessary. This man has his own very checkered past, but I want to get into some of the things with the son and also show you exactly where he was mentioned. In January 2009, Mr. Combs learned that Ms. Ventura spoke to another music manager at a party in Los Angeles. He became enraged. She hoped that speaking to the manager would allow her future to grow her career. Mr. Combs would be happy for her, but instead he became extremely angry, pulled her out of the club where the party was taking place. In the car leaving the club, Mr. Combs abused Ms. Ventura, pushing her into a corner of the vehicle and stomping on her face. Sorry, guys, I should have said trigger warning because we're going to be reviewing some things here. So trigger warning if this may not be the content for you. Mr. Combs' security staff, Roger Bonds, tried to stop the beating, but was unable to de-escalate the situation. When the car arrived at Mr. Combs' residence, Miss Ventura attempted to run away, but Mr. Combs followed her and proceeded to again kick her in the face. That was one of the times that he was spoken about. Let's see. Again, on multiple occasions, Mr. Combs sent his employees to lure Ms. Ventura back. He used his networks to find her and convince her to return to his abuse. Let's see. We already talked about the Kid Cudi thing, but I wanted to show you the times that she consistently mentioned him. Had this gone to trial, I told you guys when we were reading this initially that he was going to be compelled to testify along with some of his other workers that she specifically named in here. When Mr. Combs, head of security, insisted on Miss Ventura after the assault, they began to cry. Ms. Ventura had 2 black eyes, a burst and bruised lip, and a huge welt on her forehead. And then we have 118. She did put makeup on. Mr. Combs demands. Ms. Ventura felt that she had no choice but to obey her abuser. Even though security guards, assistants, and friends saw the situation she was in, no one dared to help her or speak up on her behalf. So that's kind of what he was responding to with that second message. But I want to show you guys exactly what's going on with his son. Because until I actually read this article, it says a murder in Namibia, or is it Namibia? Let me know. How 2 bungling American assassins traveled over 7,000 miles to settle a grudge and then turned their trial into a 9-year circus. For more than 12 years, 2 Black American citizens have been locked up in an African jail, even though they have not been convicted of a crime. The summary of events may sound like a terrible miscarriage of justice has occurred, that 2 men have been wrongfully detained in a place where basic rights do not exist. The reality is altogether more bizarre. Copious evidence of guilt ought to have ensured a straightforward trial and conviction in 2014. Instead, the legal process has been beset by twists and turns, an escape attempt, missed court date, a social media intervention by American hip-hop celebrity P. Diddy protesting alleged injustice. Now, there you go. Because when I was just looking at this man's tiny pieces of information that he kept giving to us over and over again, he was saying, I felt like Diddy never helped him. Where was it? Where is it? He's asking for PayPals. I specifically saw him say something, but he post and delete a lot, y'all. Basically, what he was saying was, if you haven't called him to check on his son, don't call him now. Don't look for him for help now when you haven't actually called to check on his son. So, oh, sorry. Namibia. Wait, I'm still messing this up. Thanks, Steph, Kim, Banji. Namibia. 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 I'm going to try it. Y'all know I'll be butchering names. Namibia. I'm going to leave that up. Thank you, Banji. So, again, I thought that Diddy had never tried to help him, but now they are saying that P. Diddy did an actual push to assist. Panini restrictions, and a litany of legal challenges and obstructive delays. On September 6, 2023, the case was finally concluded and the inevitable verdict was delivered at last. Namibia is a southern African country about the size of Texas, bordered by the Atlantic Ocean, blah, blah, blah. The majority of the population is Black, and most of their ancestors migrated there from East Africa in the 16th century. Blah, 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 blah. The story of the extraordinary criminal case began on January 7, 2011, when the lifeless body of a 25-year-old white Namibian named Andre Peter Hekmar was found slumped behind the wheel of a Toyota Land Cruiser on a quiet street in the capital. Hekmar had been slain with a single gunshot to the head. It is unlikely that he even saw his assailants before he was shot, but what looked at first blush, anyway, like a professional execution rapidly unraveled. The police quickly determined that the murder was in fact two inept amateurs who had traveled over 7,000 miles to settle a grudge. Within hours of the crime, suspects were apprehended and taken into custody. At the time of his passing, Hekmar was studying in Switzerland, where he lived with his Swiss girlfriend. The previous year, the couple were in New York, where Hekmar was then living and working. And it emerged that Christine had a jealous ex-boyfriend named Marcus Kevin Thomas. It remains unclear when Thomas dated Broom or for how long, but after the unaliving, police discovered that Thomas used a photograph of himself and Bruhar as his laptop's wallpaper. In 2010, Thomas broke into Hekmar's New York apartment to confront the couple and was subsequently arrested. In jail, he met Kevin, Donald Townsend. Thomas and Townsend entered Namibia and checked into the cardboard box backpacker's guest house before moving to room 5 in the sky, blah, 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 blah. Two Americans began their journey together weeks before. After Thomas put up $10,000 to bail Townsend out of jail, the pair then traveled to Helsinki in Finland, where they mailed a silencer and 2 barrels to Namibia, declaring the items as spare parts for furniture on the customs documentation. When they arrived, they purchased a burner phone and set about to finding Hekmar. Are y'all hearing this? I thought I said it right. His son is innocent. Okay. So it's me, Ecstasy. Let me know what you know, because right now I'm just giving people both sides of the story. I will definitely let you guys hear exactly what he had to say in regards to his son, but this is the other story, and this is actually something that he shared. The 2 men had arrived with very little information regarding the quarry's whereabouts. They only knew that he was in Windhoek visiting his family. He owned a restaurant called the Cattle Baron Ranch. So they staked out the food court, hoping to intersect Hekmar there. When he failed to show up, the 2 men became impatient and began to ask random mall shoppers if they knew where they could find him. Hekmar and his family began receiving text messages telling the 2 Americans were looking for him. Although Thomas and Townsend were 2 Black men in a majority Black country, they made very little effort to appear inconspicuous. The burner phone and the SIM they purchased would never be recovered, but the cell phone salesman remembered Townsend's tattoos, the 2 men's unusual accents and condescending manner, as well as remarks they made comparing Namibia's colorful currency to Disney money. According to witness testimony at their trial, Thomas and Townsend were also searching for a pow-pow. It has fairly strict pow-pow control laws. No one is able to walk into a shop there and take possession of a firearm the same month, let alone the same day. So they asked around until they were introduced to Simon on New Year's Day 2011 under their respective aliases, Mr. Cash and Mr. M. Townsend and Thomas told him that they wanted to buy a 9mm pistol to match the silencer and barrels they had already ordered. He was not able to obtain the gun that they wanted, but offered to sell them a 7.65 pistol instead. On January 3rd, the two men handed $500 down payment in exchange for the pow and ammunition. They said it was for self-defense. Heckmar, meanwhile, wanted to know who was looking for him. Thomas and Townsend were becoming desperate, talking to an ever-increasing number of people in an effort to obtain his address. Multiple witnesses recall Thomas and Townsend speaking to them specifically about Heckmar's whereabouts, while text message records Heckmar's interactions with people describing the agitated Americans in cautious inquiries. Eventually, they managed to get hold of Heckmar's phone number. Prosecutors believe the three men arranged to meet at Gunnison Street on the afternoon of January 7th. It's in that quiet cul-de-sac located off a main road in Winnick that Heckmar was unalived. So y'all, are you seeing the different picture? I'm not saying that this man's son is not innocent. What I am saying is this is another twist and a turn. And the fact that he is kind of like piecemealing information. So first was furniture parts, then it was for self-defense. Right, Bonji. Be blessed. Thank you. We got like 1,100 people in here. We only got 200 likes. Definitely hit that like button. It's a free way to support the channel. Now that Diddy is falling, maybe more people will speak. I'm not mad that he's speaking. And I actually understand a father really wanting to, back his son. I definitely get that. So it's just a different element, and we got to think about this. Diddy did do a campaign to help. Was he expecting more money? It's very interesting, and it adds a whole nother element. Now, I am a fair person, so I definitely will let you hear in his own terms how he feels about his son's. Let's see. How he feels about his son's. Okay. This, though, we're not going to do this one. We're going to do a clip. Okay, here we go. Here we go. This is in his own words. Shout out to, well, I don't want to shout him out, but I'll definitely put the Vlad TV interview in here.
Because I'm providing, I'm a parent. That's what makes me a good parent. Not realizing it's no substitute for that time. So when you sit back and you even hear your own words, like, what does it do to you as a human being?
I'm be honest with you. One of the best things that happened to me was 2012, 2013. I found out I had diabetes, right? I actually fell out in the bathroom in Puff House. You know what I'm saying? We was living together in Beverly Hills, and I fell out. And it happened to me again 3 months later. And then that's when the doctor told me, he said, listen, you can't live this life no more. You're going to have to figure something out. You can't do this. So that's how I ended up leaving by Puff's side and going to deal with Ciroc, right? So by me dealing with Ciroc, there was no more 19-hour and 20-hour days. So that gave me the time to really like focus on what my son could see. What you're saying to me went all the way on. And I like to be transparent. I don't like people to think that I'm making nothing up. It wasn't until I left Puff's side, because my son got locked up in 2011. I left Puff's side in 2013. So even those 2 years where I was by Puff's side, I was minimally in talking about my son's situation.
Now, that's not exactly true, because his son was already locked up. So, we can talk generational curses, whatever, violence begets violence, all this kind of stuff. But let's continue. I'll I'll parse that out.
When it first happened, me and Puff was in Paris. I flew from Paris there, so people knew about it from there, but I never mentioned it no more because I was still living that life of this is my life. So when I say this is my life, I don't want to involve nobody else. I don't want people to know about this. And that's why I say God put you in situations, predicament. I don't like to say God wish bad, but for me, having that diabetic, going into that diabetic coma, it woke me up to what's important to me in life. And that's why if you go back, you'll see from 2013 until 2022, Bond's been going hard to the point where I never mentioned my past. People would say, oh, so Rock Boy Bonds? Oh, yeah. Because when you talk to me and when we sit down in that office, I'm not going to give you none of that when I open my mouth. When I sit there and look at you, I'm not going to give you none of that, Harlem. I'm not going to give you none of
I do want to say this. I want to be fair because I feel like he feels like he's fighting for his son's life. However, kids pick up what they're around. This man he's confirmed that he was a hustler, a drug dealer, and he also unalived a person. So part of your responsibility to your kids and not just taking care of them is also making sure that you're doing the right thing so they don't potentially follow in your footsteps. I just got to say that. But he's admitted to all of these things, unaliving somebody, being a drug dealer, all this kind of stuff.
It's people to this day that swear he's been doing marketing all his life. Never take that away, no matter what I show you now. So now if I don't be the one to show people like it's okay to be a man and to have some feelings, it's okay to cry, because if you try to keep everything on your shoulders and you try to just carry everything around like you got it.
I wanted you guys to hear that because he is a tough guy, but he did cry with Cassie, allegedly. He cried when he saw the abuse. Did he try to stop it or intervene? No. But he definitely has corroborated her story. And, things are layered. There's so many gray areas in this. So
like that, you're going to bump into a wall, man, that's going to cause you maybe either to have suicide, either to have a nervous breakdown, or either to be no good to nobody else. And before I leave here, remember me for taking a situation, but okay, for every life that person might have took, I'm going to give you 3 lives that I showed is worth living for. You know what I'm saying? And that's my whole thing now. Even when I get calls from people that done more shit than me, not supposed to be surprising for people because it's your son. So for us to live this way and feel like, oh man, you see how hard he going? Nah. Every mother and father that brought a child in this world supposed to say, I would go just as hard.
That's right. That's right. Wow. And beautifully said. I know you're gonna touch some hearts.
Yes, this is Diddy's one of his bodyguards, not Gene Dills, Roger Bonds.
And people need to hear this. Okay, 2011, your son's life changed forever. You just touched on some top line points, but I want to go specific for a second. Your son is locked up in Namibia, Africa.
Namibia.
Number one, what's his charge? And number two, what was he doing in Namibia?
His charge is murder. His charge is robbery. His charge is tampering with evidence. Those are the 3 charges that he has. When my son was incarcerated in 2011, he met a guy that was from Los Angeles that was locked up there also. He came in while my son was there. My son befriended him, got him able to use the telephone, do different things like that. As we all know, when you're on Rikers Island, if you go there and you ain't from that city, that town, you better not touch the phone. You better not do this unless you know some people. So my son was able to help him get on the phone, call his people. In return, him and my son got cool. Now, all of this is unbeknownst to me. You know what I'm saying? Him and my son got cool. I got my son a lawyer. My son had a gun charge. I got him a lawyer. The lawyer is telling my son, yo, stay here, because Lil Wayne had just got locked up then. So they changed the gun laws from 1 year to 3 years. So the lawyer said, Bonds, just let him sit there for a year. I'm going to get him the 1 year underneath the old law if he just sit there. But of course, you can't tell a kid to sit there when he got bailed. So they bailed him out. Now, from him bailing him out, he didn't want to stay in New York because he had 2 gun charges.
Thank you for the super chats. Indub says, thank you for reading through all of this for us. I'd be mispronouncing and reading like I'm hooked on phonics. I be trying. Y'all do know I do have an accent. A lot of people don't hear it. I am from Louisiana. Sometimes it comes out, but I will butcher a word, but I try my best. LaRonda B, thank you, Mims, for all the research and hard work. We appreciate you. Thank you guys for being here and going through it with me. I appreciate you all too.
So this guy is getting ready to go to Africa to meet somebody in Africa. They were supposed to have some discussions about some diamonds or something like that, you know. And right now I'm just kind of freestyling. They told me it was a meeting about some diamonds, right?
Okay, so your son meets a man in prison, helps him out. Your son was in prison for a gun charge. At what point are you living in Beverly Hills with Diddy, meaning you have access to money and a different life? At what point do you pull them out of this lifestyle? How do you go from a gun charge to he's just going to go to Africa for some diamonds? You don't try to parse that out at all. You know, there would be questions. Where are you getting the money for this? You just got out.
So my son gets up out of here. He's 21 years old. He gets up out of here, think he about to go come up, and he gonna bring his ass back home. But he goes out there, and the person they supposed to meet turns up dead about a week and a half after that. And they came to their hotel room and they locked both of them up. They didn't find no DNA. They didn't.
So the person that they go to meet is a man who does not own a diamond mine. He owns a restaurant and is actually the current boyfriend of Roger Bond's son, cellmate / newfound friend now that they're both out. Why are they going to go meet a man in Africa about diamonds who owns a restaurant?
Find no fingerprints. They didn't find no weapon. They don't have no eyewitnesses that ever seen them together. But they said y'all from America and y'all were supposed to meet him. And that's what he's been locked up on for the last 11 and a half years.
Okay, so I want to make sure I understand this. He go over there with a friend that he met on Rikers Island.
Mm-hmm.
The victim actually did know your son's friend.
Right. The
correct?
victim actually knew him, and the victim actually called the restaurant and made a lunch reservation for them.
Okay. Was your son supposed to be at that meeting?
He was supposed to go with his
son supposed
restaurant and made a lunch
friend.
Right. The
correct?
victim actually knew him, and the victim actually called the restaurant and made a lunch reservation for them.
Okay. The victim owns a restaurant, but we're not going to meet at my restaurant. We're going to meet at another restaurant. How do you know that the victim made a reservation for him, his girlfriend's ex-boyfriend, and this man he doesn't know? Typically, if I make a reservation for somebody, I just give my name and however many people I'm with. How would you know that that reservation was for them?
Okay. Was your son supposed to be at that meeting?
He was supposed to go with his friend to the meeting, but unbeknownst to the guy, he's just going with with his friend. But he doesn't go because he goes to the club the night before and he comes back to the room with a girl. So he never ever leaves that morning.
Okay. And we're saying a lot of he's, but I just want to be as specific as I
Right.
can.
My
Your
son never,
Kevin, goes out the night before,
right,
meets a young lady in another country, hooks up, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Don't make it to the meeting. His man goes and meets with this person he was supposed to meet with, or did
Okay. So for those of you guys who are just coming in, Diddy's bodyguard, who was named in the Cassie documents, is now dropping little piecemeals of, I agree with Cassie. Cassie's not lying. The story's true, but he's not actually coming out. I do think he's coming out with a documentary. We're looking a little deeper into why he's coming out now. So his son was arrested in Africa. His son went 12 years without a trial. He feels as though Diddy could have done more. So I am giving you guys the full story. He's now explaining his side. I read to you what the newspaper said about why the son was found guilty in Africa and his backstory. I'm a fair content creator, so I'm just giving you his side. So this is Roger Bonds, Diddy's former security.
them two ever not meet?
Them two never met. Them two never met. He was waiting in the parking lot, and the guy never showed up. So then when the mother took the stand, the mother said, yeah, he's
hold on. We want to, I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna get to that.
Right.
I just want to get the
Take it
timeline
step by
correct.
step.
Okay. So your son's friend is waiting for the guy. The guy never shows up.
Right.
How long was your son supposed to be in town? Your son and his friend. How long were they supposed to be in Namibia?
Till January 14th.
When they go down there, if you don't mind me asking.
January 1st. No, December 26th.
Okay,
December
so
26th.
they had a 2-week stay.
Yep. Yep.
When did the crime happen?
January 7th.
Okay. I'm not a expert on this, and I'm just getting one side of the story, but why would they do something and know they got a week to go in a foreign country? That doesn't even make sense.
That's
I would think that they would have left.
That's the same.
Yeah,
it's two things that didn't make no sense. Getting to your point is that this guy went to school in Manhattan. He went to Columbia University.
When we say this guy, we're talking the victim.
Right. The victim went to school in Columbia University. That's how come he knew the other guy. But my thing is,
no, he knew the other guy because he didn't know the other guy. The other guy just happened to be his girlfriend's ex-boyfriend. This man in Rikers Island did not know this student from Columbia University. Like, I'm just giving you guys both sides. To me, I'm happy that Roger Bond's former security is actually speaking his truth in regards to confirming that Cassie did go through the abuse that she alleged. I will say I'm the kind of person that questions motives, though. And I understand a father wanting to get his son out of jail. The motives I'm questioning is him piecemealing everything in order to, it's less about, I feel like it's less about Cassie and what she went through and corroborating her story and more about bringing light to his son's situation. Yes, he cried with Cassie allegedly when he saw Cassie getting, beat up by Diddy. Did he do anything? No. Like Cassie said in the lawsuit, so many of the Diddy staff, attorneys, security saw, but did not tell. So for those of you who came in, you're gonna have to start from the beginning because it definitely moved. We kind of went from A to Z in this short amount of time, but this is Roger Bond's story. So I'm definitely going to tell you, I'm going to do that death toll story. It's just every day I'm getting more stuff. Just like this celebrity just emailed me. I don't know what will come of that. They want to tell their story. So we just kind of have to see exactly what that looks like and set up a potential interview. So it's crazy. Guys, I'm going to keep following this. I got to go because I got to go take my mom to go get her hair done. But this is my life. It's really, really crazy. Bonji says, why is he conflating Cassie's case and his son's imprisonment and Diddy not helping? Well, we just saw in the article that I read that Diddy did do a whole social media campaign to help his son. I don't know if he wanted more money for attorneys. He doesn't really specifically go into it. A lot of the things that he says are very guarded, and I feel he's a person who is measured, and he is going to do things step by step. He's going to continue to release small tidbits of information. So I'm not going to come live every time he does it, but if there's a full story with it, then I will. Like the video, guys. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Oh, and I did this book. Diddy was kind of exposed in it. I've been reading chapters. My subscribers have told me to read it because Diddy was talked about, but he's exposing a lot of people. So I will be reading this book in chapters as well. Just kind of like throughout the day, you might see a chapter dropped. I did some last night on this video that I did with Diddy's former bad boy president who exposed him. So I will link that video to the end of this one. The saga continues. Y'all have a good day. I got to go get my mom.